Hello, and welcome back to another Sunday Sector Review, where we like to say Sundays are for sectors. This week's volatility came from the announcement that the government shutdown is officially over. Yes, you heard me right. 43 days in a hole is officially over. So, with that being said, we can now possibly focus back on the economic calendar. So what we have this week, Monday we have a couple of orange folders. Tuesday we have the yellow. Wednesday we do have a red folder that FOMC meetings, average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate. The unemployment claims are still tentative, but we also have existing home sales. And then if we scroll down to Friday, our next red folders are flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI. The new candles that are opening for the week are the 3-day, the weekly of course, the 3-week, and the 9-week. We will be also focusing on the monthly as well as those candle openings. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First up on the list is the VIX. So, the VIX on the monthly. Let's start there. We are inside month on the monthly. The 9-week. The 9-week, we are a 2 up on the 9-week. Still, if you remember, we talked about hitting those targets and we have rejected. So we still rejecting those targets that we hit on the VIX, but it is still green. The 3-week, we have a failed 2 down on the 3-week. I also like to look at the 2-week. Now the 2-week is not opening, but I like to look at it as well, so we'll pop in on that. 2 up continuation on the 2-week. The weekly, same 2 continuation. The 3-day, a failed 2 up on the 3-day, and the daily as well. Time frame continuity is mainly bullish still outside of the daily, and so we all know what that means. If we're looking bullish on the VIX, then the overall market SPY and the indices will most likely be bearish. But of course, we will play what we see and go from there. SPY on the monthly is an inside month. We did find some support at 660.64. If we scroll down to the 3-week, we are failed 2 up on the 3-week. Pop in on the 2-week, we are inside on the 2-week. The weekly, same, inside, close. So that means we are in the middle of indecision. We closed the weekly within this range of the previous week. So we would definitely want to see what next week will open up to be before we make any decisions. We are a fail 2 up on the 3-day. In the daily, we are a 2 continuation to the downside. So as I was stating before about VIX, we do have a mixed bag on SPY, but it's holding, like I said, that 660.64 area. We can stay above the monthly open at 663. We could aim back for some bullish territory. Bulls can start making its way back to the upside. We do have a gap here that needs to be filled, as we have already filled the downside gap here with this candle. So there is some resistance. We saw some rejection here at 675, but if we can maintain this area where we are now, either we consolidate this week or we get a push above, as long as we're holding 663. Yes, on the monthly, we are inside month. On the 9 week, we are a 2 up on the 9 week. All time highs are still intact at 69.53.75. 3 week fell to up. 2 week, we peak inside. We are inside 2 week. The weekly, the same. 3 day. 2 down on the 3 day, finding support in this area of 66.55 area and closing back above at 67.55. So pretty much same for ES. If we can continue to find support in this area where we have so far, we could potentially continue to see some upside. I would like 68.19 before I would like a close above 68.19.25 before making the decision to the upside. NQ inside month, 9 week. 2 up. The 9 week did close as a shooter at the top of the burning formation, although it is a 2 up. The 3 week fell to up on the 3 week. Unlike ES and SPY, we are a 2 down on the 2 week, even though it's still open. And again, on the weekly, we are not inside. We are 2 down on the weekly. 3 day, 2 down on the 3 day, and the daily, 2 down on the daily. Did find support at after weekend and taking out this low and weekend previous week low here. So we are looking for a potential upside. If we can get above, for me, if we can get above 50% of the previous week at 25,487. We can get above here, I will be back bullish and would aim for the rest of this LR and back to all-time highs. Qs on the monthly as well, inside month, 9 week, 2 up. We are a shooter at the top. 3 week fell to up. 2 week, 2 continuation to the downside. Same way for the weekly. And the 3 day is actually an outside bearish 3 day, although we did find some support here at the quarterly open at 597.17. So support was found, and we did close back above this old burning formation that I have. But I am still a tad bit bearish. I still need more confirmation. Not bearish, still need more confirmation. That confirmation will come at 618.92 for the bull side. So another 9-point move, 9-point move for the Qs to the upside for me to flip back bearish. Time frame continuity is a mixed bag, so we will continue to look out for that. As long as we're holding this area that we're already in this particular area now, and not come back and sweep these lows again at 597.17, then I'm still bullish. Either we be bullish or we consolidate. IWM is not an inside. It is a 2 down on the monthly. 9 week is a fail to up, closing as a bearish doji on the 9 week. The 3 week closed as a 2 down on the 3 week, peaking in at the 2 week, 2 down on the 2 week. The weekly closed as an outside bearish weekly. We did hold here, but I would not be surprised if IWM comes down and tap 229.76 If we don't find support at 229.76, we could possibly see the yearly open at 222.93 for IWM. That is based off the weekly, so we do still, if we can't hold this, we're coming down to 222.93. 3-day outside bearish 3-day. The daily closed as a fail to down on the 3-day, holding 233. I am bearish on IWM if we fall below 229. Time frame continuity is mixed, but it is looking weak. So if we can't hold where we are now coming into next week and we fall below it, then 222 is on the table. DIA, the monthly is a fail to up on the monthly. All new all-time highs. I didn't move this, did I? So all-time highs are at 484.40. 484.40. Come on. That's okay. 484.40. Got it. That's for DIA. 9-week. 2-2 continuation to the upside with some rejection at all-time highs. 3-week, a fail to up on the 3-week. 2-week is a 2 up on the 2-week, but look how it rejected, and this is where it closed. This is where we are. The 2-week is still open. We do not get another 2-week until the 24th. Again, I just like to peek in on a 2-week. The weekly closed the same way. This very doji candle on the weekly. 3-day closed as a fail to up on the 3-day, and the daily closed as a 2-2 continuation to the downside with a gap here. So DIA did close very. It did not have a good week this week. Closing fairly bearish. Again, just like for the rest, if we can't hold where we are, I would actually like DIA to get above this gap. I would like for it to be above 478.32 before I can start claiming to be bullish again. If not, then we can see the quarterly open at 462.57. I am noticing I am mentioning a lot about the quarterly on these indices so far, so pay attention. Just like the rest, a mixed bag on the indices. A mixed bag on the time frame continuity, but as you can see, going through some of the time frames, we are looking more bearish than we are bullish, but we will play what we see. Definitely want to let Monday play out before making a decision, but as of right now, I'm bullish over 478.32, bearish under 468.92. SMH on the month. Inside month, the 9-week. 2-2 continuation to the upside. All-time highs are still 372.78. The 3-week. The 3-week closed as a fail to up. Peeking in on a 2-week. 2-2 continuation to the downside. 2-2 continuation to the downside on the weekly. The 3-day closed as a 2-2 continuation to the downside, although it hammered. And we found some buyers here after sweeping previous week low at 336.68. So we got the sweep here and buyers stepped in. The daily closed as a fail to down on the daily. Getting some rejection at 50% of the previous month, which is at 348.45. We can get above 350, 351. I would like to take, if we can get above 350, 351, I will be bullish to 357, 55, and that will be my first target, 357.55, and then my next target will be to complete this gap here at 366.02. Time frame continuity is a bit mixed, but if we can get a close above those levels that I mentioned, then I will be bullish on SMH. XLB, the monthly is a fail to down on the monthly. The 9 week is a 2 down on it closed as a 2 down on the 9 week. The 3 week closed as a 2-2 continuation on the 3 week to the downside. It did hammer and wick off the yearly open, and it did catch my sweep here. So if this means I marked it for a sweep. If you are new to the channel, we have this marked out that it wanted to sweep these lows, and it did. So we have buyers that have stepped in on those lows. So it completed its objective sweeping, and we tapped 84.07, and then we found some green light to the upside. Now, what does concern me on the weekly, we getting this rejection here, again approaching the quarterly open and the quarterly 50% at 89.50, and it hit some rejection. It has been rejecting here for some time, so in order for me to become fully bullish on XLB, I need a close above this quarterly open since it's been rejecting. If not, we can come back and test these lows again, and probably go past the yearly open and test the previous year 50% at 82.99. So we would like to keep this on watch. This is just a weekly. The 3-day close as they fell to up. So yes, this can easily be some liquidity back to the downside if we cannot get a close above 89.50. The daily 2 continuation to the downside with a gap that needs to be filled. XLC, XLC is 2 down on the monthly. The 9 week a fail to up. All-time highs is still intact at 119.55. 3 week close is a bearish outside 3 weeks, so could be looking for that 3-2 continuation to the downside on XLC. Peeking in on the 2 week, 3-2 continuation. We got it here on the 2 week. 2 week is still open. Here is the weekly. We got the 3-2 continuation. So that we're looking for more downside, and let the 3 week have it continue with the 3-2 continuation, like the 2 week and the weekly. The 3-day closed as a bearish outside 3-day, and the daily closed as a 2-2 continuation to the downside. If we lose 110.84 on XLC, which I really do kind of think we will, we can potentially see 108. Then that is lining up with the 6-month open. So I am bearish on XLC. It is looking weaker than the other indices the other sectors that we looked at so far. Time frame continuity is pretty much bearish to the downside. So yeah, XLE has been one to surprise. It's doing well. It was on my bullish thesis last week, and it did play out, so kudos to XLE. The monthly is a 2 up on the monthly. The 9 week is a 2 up on the 9 week. 3 week closed as a 2 up on the 3 week. 2-2 continuation so far on the 2 week, 3-2 up on the weekly, 3 day closed as a 2-2 continuation to the upside, and the daily closed as a bullish outside 3 day. This is about the clearest chart we've seen tonight because everything else just looks funky, and this is surprisingly because everyone knows how I feel about oil. Time frame continuity is clearly bullish. There's no mixed signals. Finally, on XLE, the only one, no mixed signals. So we're looking for a 3-2 continuation. My first target is 93.20. That completes a gap from April. After 93.20, the next target is 94.82. So bullish on XLE. XLF, the monthly, we are inside month. Look at that. Got some heavy rejection off that previous month high at 54.07. All-time highs is 54.50. So kind of really trying to get to that. Fell to up on the 9 week, 3 week, inside 3 week, 2 week. We are a fell to up on the 2 week, the weekly. Same, fell to up and closed basically as a shooter. So if our entry for puts off the weekly would be pretty much at like 52 in the 52.20s there, in the 52.20. Anything below 52.25, 52.20, we can come back and get these lows at 51.54. Now, with that being said, even if you come down and jump down, even if that happens, the structure still hasn't changed for XLF. It is still considered bullish, but more into a consolidation. As long as we don't go below 51.54, the upside structure is still intact. We could just be making another lower high. But time frame continuity is mixed. We do have a 2-2 continuation to the downside with a gap fill to the upside. If we don't hold where we are and fill this gap, and if we don't hold where we are and potentially push up above 53.32, then we could, like I said, come back and sweep these lows again. XLF is just kind of pretty much in no man's land. XLI, we are inside month on XLI. 9 week, we closed as a doji on the 9 week. All-time highs are still intact at 156.99. 3 week closed as a fail to up on the 3 week. We haven't quite caught the sweep yet, so this is still alive. Peaking on the 2 week, we are a 2 down on the 2 week so far. Weekly closed as a bearish outside weekly, so looking for a 3-2 down. If we do not hold this 151 area, we could get this sweep. So if we jump down to the 3 day, we are a bearish 3 day, looking for a 3-2 down on the 3 day. Daily closed as a fail to down on the daily. We did get the sweep on XLI of this low, and we're barely hanging on to 50% of the quarterly. So here we are with it. I'm bullish above 154. If not, we're coming down to 149. XLK, XLK, we're inside a month on the monthly. 9 week, we are a 2-2 continuation to the upside on the 9 week. 305.99 is still all-time highs where we have rejected from so far. Fell to up on the 3 week, inside 2 down on the 2 week. The weekly close as a 2-2 continuation to the downside. The 3-day close is a 2 down hammer where we found support where at the quarterly open. 280.42. So told you, pay attention. We've been finding a lot of support at the quarterly open for these sectors. The daily close as a fail 2 down on the daily. We did get the sweep here. If we hold where we are, I would like calls above 293.31. We closed at 288.15. Time frame continuity is still mixed, but once we get above 293, I can be more comfortable with being bullish. XLP on the monthly is a fail 2 down on the monthly. 9 week closed as a 2 down on the 9 week. The 3 week closed as a 2 down hammer on the 3 week. 2 week we are inside 2 week. Weekly we are a 2 up on the weekly. 3 day we are a fail 2 up on the 3 day. The daily we are a 2 down. We're hammer. So support was found at 76.85. XRP does have a gap to the upside that needs to be filled. I would like the gap to be filled before I'm completely bullish, because this can easily turn into some LRLR back down to the downside, some liquidity sweep, right back down to that 75 mark that I have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Time frame continuity, just like the rest, is pretty much mixed. I would like to see the gap get filled and let Monday play out before I can make any decisions on pretty much any of these, but also just XLP in general. So definitely want this gap filled. XHB, home builders. Oof, yeah. We are 2 down on the month currently. 9 week is a close is a, look at this inside candle. Wow. And then we're closer to going 2 down. We're closer to going 2-1-2 down than we are going to 2-1-2 up on the 9 week. So pay attention to that. When we open, we're gonna open down here. 3 week 2-2 continuation to the downside. 2 week inside, 2 weeks so far. The weekly close is a fail 2 up on the weekly. 3 day close is a bearish outside. 3 day looking for a 3-2 down. The daily close is a 2 down dragon fly doji. So off the daily, 103.09 could be your entry, and you could take it to 102.12 as first target, and then 101.13, which is the previous year 50%. Full time frame continuity to the downside. This is another one that is pretty much self-explanatory. Outside of XLE, these are so far the only two sectors that have been clear. So bearish on XHB, home builders. Real estate. I know y'all like, you still holding on hope to real estate. I am, even though we are what? Still in our compression. Let me go ahead and slide this over. We are currently, hold on, I can't see. We are currently a fail to down on the monthly. 9 week, we are a 2 down on the 9 week. 3 week closed is a 2 down on the 3 week. Inside 2 weeks so far, the weekly failed to up on the weekly. This is considered a shooter. 40.70 would be your entry for downside, and you could take this to 40.28 and possibly down here to 39, which is 50% of the 6 month. 3 day. 2 down on the 3 day. The daily closed as a fail to down hammer. It's a nice hammer. But it's not enough. There's a gap fill to the upside for XLRE that I would like for it to get filled before I can consider bullish. So that would be close to around 41.35, 41.40 in that area. Close above that would give me more of a indication that we're going to the upside, but we are still inside of our little range, so we would like to let that continue to cook. If not, if this hammer doesn't play out and give us a 2-up continuation to the upside, then we're definitely headed back to 40 and 39.80. XLU on the monthly, we're currently an inside month. All-time highs are still 93.77. The 9 week, 2 up on the 9 week. The 3 week is 2 down on the 3 week. 2 weeks so far is an inside 2 week. The weekly is a fail 2 up on the weekly. The 3 day closed as an inside 3 day, giving us a 3-1. So could possibly looking for a 3-1-2 up or a 3-1-2 down. Daily is given a failed 2 down on the daily. So far, XLU is holding 88.10. If we can continue to hold 88.10, we should not see a fall. If we lose 88.10, here we are. Here's that 3-month open. Here's the quarterly open. We could tag the quarterly open for a first target, and also could possibly get a sweep at 87.24, which lines up previous month's lows. If we can hold this area and get back above 89.70, we can potentially see 90.51 and could aim for 91.60 on XLU. Time frame continuity is a bit mixed. The levels, like I said, will hold. If the levels hold true for the bears, then we're seeing downside targets. If we get above the levels that I mentioned for the upside, then we could get up to 91.50, 91.60s. XLV played out like it should have it's been playing out. So you've been following me. We've been rooting for XLV since the end of August or September, and it's been holding true to continuation to the upside. 9 week, we close as a 2 up. 3 week, 2 up on the 3 week inside, 2 up. Weekly 2 up. 3 day 2 up. We did close as a shooter here, so watch out for this. If you're looking for downside to get some relief, off the 3 day 150.69, we lose it. We can come back to 149.21 off the 3 day. I guess I can delete this. We hit our bullish target. If you were rocking with me last week, I mentioned that we could hit 150. That was first target, and we holding on to 159 for all-time highs. But we did get our 150.32, so I delete that. The daily did close as a 2 down on the daily after Thursday closed as a failed 2 up and as a shooter. So now we're getting some downside. Time frame continuity is still mainly bullish to the upside, but here's a gap here that can get filled, and XLV does need some relief. I'm not gonna lie, we've been running up on our girl, so a pullback will be definitely healthy. So still bullish on XLV though. XLY. Oh wow, look at XLY monthly, y'all. Sheesh. We are already an outside month on XLY. So we are 312 on XLY, looking for a 312. See you later to the downside. Here, if you can see, here's my sweeps. But let's get lower so you can really see them. The 9-week close as a failed 2 up on the 9-week. The 3-week close as a bearish 3-week, looking for a 3-2 down continuation on this 3-week. The 2-week currently is a 2 down on the 2-week. The weekly is a 3-2 down on the weekly. The 3-day close is a bearish 3-day, so looking for that 3-2 down continuation on the 3-day. And the daily closed is a 2 down on the daily after getting rejection at 232.85. So I am bearish on XLY. We're looking pretty weak. We are holding previous month's low pretty well at 228.86. But we did close below previous week's low and previous day's low. Still looking for this sweep, and the sweep will coincide with the yearly open at 224.44. So I'm bearish on XLY. Time frame continuity is mainly bearish. We got a little mix on it, but overall it's looking weak to me. We can't hold 228. We are coming down to 224.44. And last but not least, XME on the monthly. We are 2 down on the monthly after the previous month closed as a shooter at the top of the after reaching all-time highs at 111.09. The 9-week, same. We are closing as a shooter at the top, but we are still 2 up. 3-week closed as a 2 down on the 3-week. 2-week is currently 2-2 continuation to the downside. The weekly is an outside bearish weekly, looking for the 3-2 down continuation. The 3-day, same for the 3-day, closes a bearish 3-day, looking for a 3-2 down on the 3-day if where we are does not hold. The daily closed as a 2 down on the daily, closing just below the previous daily's close, and we're holding 89.09 fairly well. We did get this sweep here, and we're back above a broad information that I did have here. So if we hold where we are with XME, we could see some this could be the start of some upside here. I would like a close above 94. I would like a close above 94, even better at 95.17 for me. But this could be a start of some upside if we can continue to hold above and get above 95. If not, if we are below this 91 and we start to drift back down below 89, then XME could fall. I don't even know if I have a target. Sheesh. 86. Well, yeah, keep Xing me in your prayers. Because if we don't hold here, we're definitely coming down some more. Time frame continuity is bearish in my eyes. Could be even more bearish, like I said, if we lose that level. But this could potentially be the start of a turnaround if we get above 94 and 95. So that is it. What are your favorites this week? For the bull side, if you've been paying attention, you know it's XLE and XLV, which is crazy because if you've been rocking with me when we started this, I've been bashing those two particular sectors. Just been singling them out, how horrible they were performing the first part of the year, and then for them to show up the back half of the year like this and just come from behind is crazy. So I gotta put my foot in my mouth. I gotta call a spade a spade. Oil and healthcare are doing great. For the put side, what did we like? I do like XME. Yeah, what was the other one we looked at? And I said it's showing. It's about the only one that's showing. It had full home builders. So for the put side, we got home builders and XME, XLY. It was another one that I just really feel like we're finna get some more downside on that. So yeah, bulls and bears. Let's see who plays out this week. Let me know what are your favorites down in the comments. What if you made it to the end? I want you to put 43 in the chat. We're gonna put 43 in the chat if you made it to the end. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you, baby. Sundays off of sectors. Peace.